the most underrated 49ers player of all time. And given that our timeline pretty much starts with Bill Walsh.
Let's
and this
do
is
that.
subjective. This is
Yeah.
subjective. This is the first person that comes to your head and make a case.
Okay, Jeff Garcia.
Okay.
He suffered because he came after Joe Montana and Steve Young. And what quarterback is going to look good
Right.
after that? All right. But in fact, he was I'm saying not a good player. He was a hell of a player.
Yes.
For example, Iggy, he was a better quarterback than Alex Smith.
Yes, absolutely.
You agree, right?
No question. He went to like 3 straight Pro Bowls. He was in the conversation for best quarterback in the league. Only person in front of him was like Brett Favre and Kurt Warner at the time. Yeah.
He was he could run the offense. He was a very serious quarterback.
Yeah.
He could run the offense, but when things went to hell, he was even better.
Yes, a chaos
He was
quarterback.
like Russell Wilson.
Yes.
He had guts. He had ability. And I want to say something. He really learned his craft.
Yes, he did.
He went to Canada, and he was good in Canada.
Yes, he was.
He wasn't, he wasn't too proud to go to Canada.
Right.
He was the kind of guy, whatever it takes.
Absolutely.
Whatever it takes.
Yep. That's a great call. And the Niner fans didn't really appreciate him at the time. They ran him out of town, but he's definitely they haven't had a quarterback as good as him since.
One reason they didn't appreciate him is because that nut, Terrell Owens, was always putting him down.
Yep.
And here you have the best receiver on the team, maybe the best player on the team, running down the quarterback, and it's hard for the quarterback. That was Dennis Erickson was the coach during that?
Oh, it was Mariucci.
That should never have you can't allow that. You can't allow that. And that's another reason his stock, I'm talking about Garcia, his stock is not that high. But Iggy, again, earlier in our broadcast, I said Kyle Shanahan's offense is pleasurable to watch. Mm-hmm. Garcia was pleasurable to watch.
Yeah. I remember Ira used to call him a chaos quarterback. Now the term is off schedule. And that's, I think, why the Niners drafted Trey Lance is he's supposed to be able to do stuff like this, like what Russell Wilson does. And Jeff Garcia was one of the originals.
Chaos is a better phrase than off schedule.
Yeah. Yes,
off schedule is off-putting.
It's off-putting. All right, I got one. This is from a little earlier, although this guy played with Jeff Garcia. Garrison Hurst. This was back when I was a 49ers fan. I was a big fan in the 90s during the Steve Young era. And the way I remembered it was my first year of consciousness watching the team. They won the Super Bowl. They had Ricky Waters. He was a really good running back. Then they lost him, and he went to Philly, I want to say. And they didn't really replace him for years. They had like Derek LaVille and non-running backs, non-starters. And they lost to the Packers a bunch. And then they got Garrison Hurst, who I'd never heard of, but had bounced around the league, was the number 3 pick in the draft. And as soon as they got him, I mean, all of a sudden he ran for like 1,500 yards in a season. They beat the Packers in the playoffs. No one talks about his performance in that game. Everyone talks about Terrell Owens' catch, but he ran for 120-something yards in that game. Then the next game, he blew out his ankle in the first play against the Falcons. Had he not done that, who knows? They might have won the Super Bowl that year. Missed 2 years, came back, had another 1,200-yard season. I think actually at his best, he was just as good as Frank Gore, who is the greatest running back in franchise history. Hurst was on the team for 7 years, played for 5. Hell of a player.
I think he was faster than Frank Gore.
Yep.
And more elusive, bigger, more elusive. Frank Gore was great, but I would agree with you. And I'd say I didn't know Garrison Hurst very well. When he was on the team, I don't think I appreciated him the way I should have. And I'm going to add one other thing. He was a good teammate. I know that players admired him and liked him. And that's important, as opposed to Terrell Owens, who was a problem.
Right. Absolutely.
Who was a problem. They liked Garrison Hurst. I know that. And when he got hurt, I know the players were extremely upset.
Absolutely. I remember listening to Steve Young on the radio when he got hurt and saying, we had no chance without Garrison Hurst. And if he had stayed healthy, we could have won the Super Bowl.
He said that?
Yes. That's what that's what I remember at the time. Yeah.
I like that call of Gary. I think we came up with 2 pretty good guys, don't you?
I think so too. Similar era. And the thing with Garrison Hurst is no one talks about him. Like, he's forgotten. Didn't play as long with the Niners as Frank Gore did, but he had some great years, and I really think at his best he could compete with Frank Gore.
You know, Iggy, when Dwight Clark was dying and a lot of people went to visit him in Montana, I saw a photo of it, and I think Garrison Hearst went.
Oh, wow.
I think
that's very interesting. I wonder if Dwight Clark signed him.
I don't know, but I certainly remember him being in the photo.